Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to another new segment on the Toffee Blues in what's this sort of no man's land sort of phase in the midst of the crisis which we shall not name. And this segment's going to be called Remember the Name, where we are going to be looking back on the careers of former Everton players. Some, maybe more recently, some looking back into the glory years, maybe. Who knows? Hopefully the glory years are coming back pretty soon, but fingers crossed. As for this one, today we're going to be looking into the career of Gerard Deulofeu at Everton, who came obviously with a lot of promise from Barcelona and went on to have two separate spells at Everton. Was generally a popular figure with the fans, but we'll just look into it a bit more, what we thought of Gerard Deulofeu. So Terry, what did you make of Gerard Deulofeu? What's the sort of reaction you got when he signed?
Well, when he signed, it's like a different lifetime now. Like, obviously, David Moyes had just left. Now, we'd had 10 years, 11 years, David Moyes. And regardless of whatever job you thought he did, like whether you loved him, whether you thought he, got stale at the end or whatever, he had been, he'd been here ages, and it had been Moyes' way for ages. So when Martinez came in, that transfer window, things were very different. He basically, we had no depth under David Moyes. We had a very strong 11, 12, 13 and a push players throughout his entire time, but then we'd fill the bench out with kids, then, use them here and there and whatever. And then when Martinez came in, we started buying players that we would never have bought under David Moyes, for better or worse. Turned out to be worse in a lot of cases, but we started doing deals that were outside the box. They weren't like what you would have expected under Moyes. Under Moyes, you'd expect one, maybe two at most players per summer, but they'd be drag on for weeks on end, and you'd know they'd be gone over with a fine tooth comb. Whereas I think in quick we had two splurges on transfers. We got obviously Alcaraz, Aruna Kone and Gerard Deulofeu, and then obviously on the deadline day we got Gareth Barry, McCarthy and Lukaku. Gerard Deulofeu, other than the Lukaku excitement, obviously, because he was a striker who'd scored goals at West Brom, and he was a quality player. But until that very last minute when we got Lukaku, Gerard Deulofeu was the most interesting transfer of that window so far, because Martinez had bought Kone, who was his striker at Wigan. He brought Alcaraz, who was out of contract, defender at Wigan. Raised
Rob Les as well.
Sorry?
Rob Les as well.
Rob Les, yeah. I haven't even missed one out. He brought that many. But he brought a lot of, in his first sort of splurge, he brought just ex-Wigan players with him. And, people did raise a few eyebrows, but they were giving them the benefit of the doubt at the time, because at that time, it's hard, it's easy to forget that Evertonians weren't as jaded as they are now with transfers, because we've had so many players come and go in the last several years. That back then, there wasn't
just the fact that we were signing players, I think, was a source of excitement.
Yeah, it was. The fact that we were signing players and signing a lot of them, even though they weren't all particularly very strong moves, even on the face of it, it was a big deal. We were like, oh well, we've signed multiple players, we're adding depth. But Gerard Deulofeu stuck out the most because obviously the others were from Wigan, and then we got this kid from Barcelona. Kid. Yeah, Barcelona B, and it was put in the announcement that he was on loan, and it was a strict no buy clause loan. It was actually mentioned there is no option to buy. He is coming back, so he was sort of hyped up from that moment. Oh, this kid's class. He's going to be. Not the next Messi, but he's going to be the next Barcelona, product of La Masia. And we're going to get him on loan. And they've said in, really, firm language, you're not keeping him. Don't even think about keeping him, which made me think, oh, how good's this player going to be? The Barca aren't even willing to. Because a lot of the time when we sign players under Moyes, we'd sign players, and it worked a lot, don't get me wrong, but we'd sign players who'd sort of lost their way a little bit in their careers, a Pienaar or someone like that.
Arteta was a prime example. Obviously, he didn't cut it at Barcelona, so he ended up moving on to Rangers, I think, and then to Everton.
Sociedad as well, like that. But we basically got, unpolished gems, and, we'd sign them. and we'd make them better, and then we'd loan them, then we'd sign them for low fees. And whereas this one was like, there was no view to buy, there was no suggestion that this player is going to be an Everton player long term. It was just, we're just going to lend you this quality young player, and then that's it. And that to me actually built the hype in a way, because it made me think like, what's this kid
They
got?
must value this guy a lot.
Yeah, and then people. Plus, you'd never heard of him. Like for a kickoff, it wasn't like we've seen him play a few games and he's not ready for Barca. It was just like, who's this star kid who's going out on loan, and he's going to a Premier League team as his loan, and he's coming back. So then he obviously, he comes into the team, and we're playing brilliant. The team's brilliant. It wasn't just Deulofeu, but the whole team. For Martinez's first year, it was probably the best we'd seen Everton play
Since Kendall.
Yeah, because we were just quality. Everything sort of clicked into place. John Stones and Ross Barkley started to establish themselves. The central midfield, Barry and McCarthy was perfect, and we had a top quality goal scorer. So Deulofeu came in. The pressure wasn't all on him. So if we got a player like that now, it'd be like, right, let's see what you can do. I want you to make the difference in this team, and pressure might get to him. So Deulofeu came in, but he didn't play every week. He sort of rotated with Kevin Morales. Pinar tended to keep his place, but Deulofeu and Morales would, sort of come in and out for each other. And, he looked quality. He scored some good goals, like that goal he scored away at Arsenal. We still haven't got a good record away at Arsenal, but even when we went 1-0 down, I felt like when I was watching that match, like, we're still in this. We could still get something. And obviously, he scores that quality goal. And I remember when when that season was over, Guillaume Balaguer, the journalist, did a night at Goodison Park. It was a night dedicated to Spanish football, and Spain had just won the World Cup not long before, and what have you. And I went to it, and just wanted to, and basically Guillaume did this sort of relaxed thing after the questions. He had like Fernando Hierro there, and I can't remember his name, and this will do me head in this now. A journalist from Marca in Spain, and basically just did a talk about like how far Spanish football's come, what have you. But afterwards, he'd done a Q&A session, but it wasn't like a formal one where you put your hands up. It was like, all go to the bar and I'll just be at the bar. So I started asking him about Gerard Deulofeu. I was like, is there any chance he could come back? Like, what, because, we really want him, and he's got a lot of connections at Barcelona. And Guillaume Balaguer was saying, what, I don't think so. I think they see him as, as like the future. The same way they're looking at that Fatih now, like he's going to be,
very similar actually.
Yeah, like they saw him as like this big thing, and I was like, he basically said he's in, he likes to hear Deulofeu. This Guillaume Balaguer saying this. He likes to hear, if he were to move, he'd probably come here, but I don't think he will move because he sees his future at Barcelona, and Barcelona see that. But then, obviously, I'll let you come in now rather than go on to his second spell. But what, like that, he was just an exciting player. He turned heads when he first came in, just from the type of transfer he was. And I can't even. The season was just that good, and he was part of it. I don't even like. What did he set the world alight in his first season? I feel like he did, but I might just be having rose-tinted glasses. I feel like he was quality in the first instance. Like, still had his issues. He still had like poor stamina and whatnot. But that was all stuff that you could train, and something that you could improve on. But what did you think when we signed him? I've gone on at length. So what how did you feel?
No, I was the same. I was like very impressed. Obviously, I knew about him, and he was like the superstar of Barca's reserves the year before, and like you say, they had high hopes for him. And then when we got him, I thought this will raise a few eyebrows here. And obviously he did, and he did well. I mean, like I say, it wasn't flawless. I think there was times where he was in and out of the team, but obviously he was a young player. So I think, like you say, because everyone else was performing, we gave them the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, it was an interesting one because obviously then he came back the second time, and we kind of knew what sort of Deulofeu was about. But I thought he was a bit more refined when he came back the second time. I'm not sure about you.
When he came back the second time, there was real excitement for that as well, because he'd gone back to Barcelona and he hadn't really, grasped any chances. Like he was on the bench. He played a bit more than, than he played a bit more than he would eventually when he went back a third time, but like a second time, what have you. But he when he was coming back, it was like, right, well, he's gone back to Barcelona and he hasn't been good enough to get in the Barcelona team. So Everton are going to go back for him. And we just had Martinez's second season where,
we were crap.
We were great in Europe. So that sort of, it pulled the wool over a lot of supporters' eyes, myself included. I went into Martinez's third season sort of like half excusing the poor league showing because we were so good in Europe, and because he had been so good the season before, I sort of wanted to believe that the second season was the blip, not the first season. And I went into the third season thinking, well, we're going to see now which one was the real Roberto Martinez, and we sure did. But there was a wave of excitement going, right, well, we're going to get Deulofeu back, but this time it's for keeps, and we're getting him for low money. He's not being good enough for Barca.
It was very similar to a typical Moyes deal, as we were discussing before.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. It felt like, well, we're going to get this player back. It's if we'd have signed Donovan, it would have been like this, I think.
A bit like that, yeah, or even the way we did with Arteta, I think.
Yeah, well, it was just, there was a wave of excitement, but it was a different wave, because it was like, well, we've had a sort of half and half up and down season last season, but we're going to put it right now. This summer's crucial. And when we were getting Deulofeu back on, yeah, he's not had a good showing at Barca, but he's still a quality young player. He might just need a couple more years to turn it on, and he might need a bit of polish. Like you've got it in one, like a Moyes player. Like, yeah, his stock's low with his club, but we'll get him, and he'll be better than he ever was. So we had there was a banner, wasn't there? Like I think it was by John Lennon Airport, where welcome Deulofeu, and he put it on his Twitter, and it was like, the buzz, the excitement. I said before, we've had so many players in and out at the minute that Evertonians now are a little bit burnt about hyping up players when they sign them.
But we were absolutely buzzing when he came back. I remember this.
Yeah, exactly. Like now, if you sign a player, even if it's a player and he's a decent player, you're sort of cautious, because you've had so many new players come in, and you've been really excited for them, and they haven't panned out, that you sort of think, well, let's see how they do first. It's bred a sort of healthy caution, I suppose, or a healthy patience with new players.
Sandro was the one. I think that turned everyone into cynics.
Yeah, well, for me, it was Davy Klaassen. I thought Davy Klaassen was going to be a game changer, but he clearly wasn't. But it made me think that you can be so sure on a player and be so excited, and it just doesn't happen. So you best wait and see. But back then, this was a knock-on effect of Moyes' transfer record. Moyes very, very rarely got it wrong. So we
expected it. Yeah. We expected every signing to be tick the box.
Yeah, I think, I can't speak for everyone, but I think as a fan base at that time, we weren't really used to bringing in players at all, but we certainly weren't used to bringing in players and have them just bomb, because it didn't happen that often.
We never got shortchanged. You'll find if Moyes signed a crap player, he probably signed them for about $500,000 tops.
Yeah, like the proper investments that he made, you can count on your hands how many over a decade, how many players he brought in that weren't good, that weren't value for money or anything, or what have you. So obviously we've become accustomed to it now, but back then it was just like, it was not exactly the same, but it was similar levels of excitement. So when we got Pienaar back, because we knew what we were getting, and he was synonymous with a time where the team was better. Because when Pienaar came back, we'd gone crap for a spell. And when he came back, it was like, this is the beginning of us having a little revival. We're going to get Baines and Pienaar back down the left, because we'd had Royston Drenthe and what have you, hadn't we?
Maguire.
Yeah, and it was like, and this was a similar sort of vibe. Oh, well, we've had a poor season last season, but we need to, we can kick on in the transfer market now. And if you get Gerard Deulofeu back, but you're going to keep him this time, and he's for a cheap price, that's quality. And then obviously after that, what happened with Martinez happened, and Koeman, I don't know why Koeman never stuck with him as a striker. I mean, now I think if we had Gerard Deulofeu now, he'd play the Richarlison role. He'd play off a striker.
He does at Watford, doesn't he?
Well, when they play 4-4-2, he often does he'll play off Troy Deeney. I think if we use a play, obviously we didn't have the manager at the time for this, and never, it's no good thinking about it. But if we used to play to 4-4-2 with Deulofeu off Lukaku, we'd have been a quality team.
Oh yeah.
If we, but that would have needed, and it wouldn't have gone at this time. It wouldn't have been popular. We'd have had to have dropped Ross Barkley because he played that role. He played off Lukaku, but I think Deulofeu off Lukaku would have been so much better with whatever. Eventually, whoever we had on the left, I think was Cleverly at one point, and we probably didn't have the players to do it. But with the fullbacks we had in their prime of Baines and Coleman, we could have had, Ross Barkley on the right of a 4 or something like that. More compact midfielders, but just a wasted opportunity. And he's at Watford now, and he's kicking on. He does look an even better player than he was at Everton, because at Everton, obviously, his faults did come out. He had the lungs of like an asthmatic hamster. He'd be blowing out of his arse very early in
Not
game.
half an hour into the game, really.
Yeah, he's still got that. But his quality is improving. He's not, turned into a well beater, but a team with a set style and a consistent, run of games. And he's starting to, prove he is a Premier League player. You see on Twitter all the time, a lot of people going, well, if Watford go down, should we get Deulofeu again for our right hand side, like a third time? I mean, why not? But I just don't. I don't see it.
I personally, and I mean, I remember that season he came back, he did whip some brilliant crosses in for like some of Lukaku's goals, but I never thought he was a right winger. I always thought he played better either on the left or, like you said, up top.
I mean, I've got a lot of time for Deulofeu. I mean, he was an exciting signing the first time, and he was even more exciting the second time. I think he's a quality player, but he came to Everton at the wrong time. He needed Everton to be more stable. I mean, a lot of players could say this, but he needed Everton to be more stable and the infrastructure to be more steady for him to thrive. And he was at a time when he was one of the few good players in like a struggling team, and then he was one of the players who he needed to. He lost his place to Aaron Lennon just because work rate was
Lennon actually put a graft in.
Yeah, we needed that at the time, and he it blew my mind that we were sending our players who couldn't get on our team out on loan to AC Milan. Shows how far they had fallen. But
yeah.
a little spell there, didn't he? But I still think he's a quality player. I mean, he wouldn't suit Everton at this point because, as you say, the only place for him would be right hand side, and you'd need to be, a tireless hard worker. And we've had 2 good looks at him now, and that is one thing that he isn't. But I've got a lot of fond memories for Deulofeu. He reminds me of a simpler time where I trusted the transfers were going to work out.
Yeah, to be fair, well, he worked out more than most of the Steve Walsh signings did, so I think we can all agree on that.
Well, yeah, he certainly proved to be better value for money than wingers who followed like Balassi, isn't he?
Certainly, I don't care about value for money. He's certainly better than Sandro as well.
Yeah.
I mean, as you say, another Barca B teammate of his from back in those days.
Yeah, I mean, just the key is don't give them 100, 125, 20 grand a week, because it's just, you can't get rid of them if it doesn't pan out.
It's a nuisance, and I mean,
that
that is literally the legacy of Steve Walsh now, is like these crap players that we can't shift. But on the note of legacies, before we finish, what's Gerard Deulofeu's legacy at Everton?
Well thought of, but came at the wrong time in his career and in Everton's history. Good player at the wrong time.
Definitely the wrong time, and I'd also say maybe misused as well. I think, like you say, I think either preferred him up top or maybe even cutting in off the left. I think
if we either never had him and Watford went down, we'd be all over him. Every fan would be like, we've got to get him. The only reason that it's only sort of half spoken about now is because we've had 2 stints with him, and people have got like, oh well, we weren't very good at that time. I think if we were to get him and he went into our part of our forwards rather than our wingers, I think he'd be a quality addition. But
absolutely.
But right, right now he'd cost too much money, and we've had it. You can't spend big money on a player you've let go before. It would just stick in your
I
throat
mean,
if you.
it's like United with Pogba, isn't it? It's just,
Yeah,
but
you just
also I think also the fact that, like you say, I think we've got other positions in our team that needs addressing. I don't think that's ever going to be a goer. Certainly not this summer.
no. It's time. He's on good terms with Everton fans as well. He always gets a good reception when he comes back. I think he would crawl back to Everton. By the way, you can tell he's always a bit like he wishes it worked out at Everton, because when he comes back, he's like more affectionate with our fans than he is with the Watford fans. I think if we came in for him, he'd be throwing transfer requests down and everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's another reason for Watford fans to throw snakes at us. But
Be worth it just for that.
yeah, but there you go. Well, that's for another day. But there you have it. Gerard Deulofeu still has a positive legacy at Everton. Let us know what you think of Gerard Deulofeu in the comments below. Drop us a comment and a like and a subscribe. And as always, thank you guys for watching on the Toffee Blues.